Section 20 of The Wit and Humor of America, Volume 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Phil Chenevert. The Dutchman Who Had the Smallpox by Henry P. Leland. Very dry indeed is the drive from Blackberry to Squash Point. Dry even for New Jersey. And when you remember that it's 50 miles between the two towns, its division into 5 drinks seems very natural. When you are packed 3 on one narrow seat in a Jersey stage, it is necessary. A Jersey stage. It is not on record, but when Dante winds up his 10th canter into the Inferno with "Each as his back was laden came indeed, or more or less contracted, and it seemed as he who showed most patience in his look, wailing, exclaimed, 'I can endure no more,'" the conclusion that he alluded to a crowded Jersey stage load is irresistible. A man with long legs on a back seat in one of these vehicles suffers like a snipe shut up in a snuff-box. For this reason the long-legged man should sit on the front seat with the driver. There, like the hen turkey who tried to sit on 100 eggs, he can spread himself. The writer sat alongside the driver one morning, just at break of day, as the stage drove out of Blackberry. He was a through passenger to Squash Point. It was a very cold morning. In order to break the ice for a conversation, he praised the fine points of an off horse. The driver thawed. "Yas, she's a good hoss, and I knows how to drive him." It was evidently a case of mixed breed. "Where is Wood, who used to drive this stage?" "He's been laid up mit the rheumatiz since yesterweek, and I drives for him, so—" I went on reading a newspaper. A fellow passenger on a back seat, not having the fear of murdered English on his hands, coaxed the Dutch driver into a long conversation, much to the delight of a very pretty Jersey bluebell, who laughed so merrily that it was contagious. And in a few minutes, from being like unto a conventicle, we were all as wide awake as one of Christie's audiences. By sunrise we were in excellent spirits, up to all sorts of fun, and when a little later on our stage stopped at the first watering place, the driver found himself the center of a group of treaters to the distilled juice of apples. It is just as easy to say Applejack and be done with it, but the writer, being very anxious to form a style, cribs from all quarters. The so oft repeated expression "juice of the grape" has been for a long time on his hands, and wishing to work it up, he would have done it in this case, only he fears the skepticism of his readers. By courtesy they may wink at the poetical license of a reporter of a public dinner who calls turnip juice and painted whiskey "juice of the grape," but they would not allow the existence for 1 minute of such application to the liquors of a Jersey tavern. It's out of place. "Here's a package to leave at Mr. Scudder's, the 3rd house on the left-hand side after you get into Jericho. What do you charge?" asked a man who seemed to know the driver. "Pout a leffy," answered he, received the silver. He gathered up the reins and put the square package in the stage box. Just as he started the horses, he leaned his head out of the stage, and, looking back to the man who gave him the package, shouted out the question, "The 3rd house on the left hand out of Jericho?" The man didn't hear him, but the driver was satisfied. On we went at a pretty good rate, considering how heavy the roads were. Another tavern, more watering, more Applejack, another long stretch of sand, and we were coming into Jericho. "Any pote knows der Miss Cooder house?" asked the driver, bracing his feet on the mail bag which lay in front of him, and screwing his head round so as to face in. There seemed to be a consultation going on inside the stage. "I don't know nobody of that name in Jericho. Do you, Lish?" asked a weather-beaten looking man, who evidently went by water, of another one who apparently went the same way. "There was old Square Gow's daughter. She married a Scudder, moved up here some 2 years back. Come to think on't, guess she lives nigher to Glass House," answered Lish. The driver, finding he could get no light out of the passengers, seeing a tall, raw-boned woman washing some clothes in front of a house, and who flew out of sight as the stage flew in, handed me the reins as he jumped from his seat and chased the fugitive, hallooing, "I've got the smallpox! I've got to—" Here his voice was lost as he dashed into the open door of the house, but in a minute he reappeared, followed by a broom with an enraged woman annexed, and a loud voice shouting out, "You get out of this! Clear yourself quicker! I ain't going to have you diseasing honest folks if you have got the smallpox." "I tells you I've got the smallpox. Don't you understand? The smallpox!" This time he shouted it out in capital letters. "Clear out! I'll call the men folks if you don't clear." And at once she shouted in a tip-top voice, "Ike, you Ike, where are you?" Ike made his appearance on the full run. "What's the matter, Mother?" Miss Scudder, his mother? I should have been shocked, as I was on my first visit to New Jersey, if I had not had a key to this. "That is a very pretty girl," I said on that occasion to a Jersey man. "Who is she?" "She's old Miss Perrine's daughter," was the reply. I looked at the innocent victim of man's criminal conduct with commiseration. "What a pity," I remarked. "Not such a very great pity," said Jersey, eyeing me very severely. "I reckon old man Perrine's got as big a cedar swamp as you or I either would like to own." "Her grandfather you speak of?" "No, I don't. I'm talking about her father. He that married Abe Sim's daughter and got a power of land by it. And that gal, their daughter, one of these days will step right into them swamps." "Oh," I replied, "Mrs. Perrine's daughter," accenting the Mrs. "Mrs. or Miss, it's all the same in Jersey," he answered. Knowing this, Ike's appeal was intelligible. To proceed with our story, the driver, very angry by this time, shouted, "I tells you once more in the last time, I've got the smallpox, and Mr. Ellis he gives me a leffy to give the smallpox to Miss Scudder, and if that vro is Miss Scudder, I promise to give her the smallpox." It was Miss Scudder, and I explained to her that it was a small box he had for her. The affair was soon settled as regarded its delivery, but not as regards the laughter and shouts of the occupants of the old stage coach as we rolled away from Jericho. The driver joined in, although he had no earthly idea as to its cause, and added not a little to it by saying in a triumphant tone of voice, "I was bound to give the old vomans the smallpox." End of The Dutchman Who Had the Smallpox.